Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, May 31st, 2023, season 19, episode number 9. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Got Nick and Brian here with me. Amber should be joining us here momentarily. Today we continue our 2023 off-season review. We will hit the positions of wide receiver, tight end, might even have a little bit of kicker talk in there. Before next week, we wrap up our off-season shows with a look at the secondary and defensive line next week as we get ready for a little bit of rest and relaxation before we head to training camp in late July. All right, how you guys doing today?
Good.
Excellent.
Ready to roll?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go. Let's talk first. Before we get into our season review, I do want to talk about a topic that popped up this last week. One DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver that was with the Arizona Cardinals and is now a free agent.
That's the key word. He's a free agent.
He is now a free agent. So, Brian,
Yes.
officially, you can mention his name. You can talk about him as much as you like.
There you go.
What do you see from DeAndre Hopkins as far as where he is right now as a player versus what he was when he was in Houston, let's say, for example?
Yeah, the thing with DeAndre Hopkins is if you talk to guys and gals around the league that study these players, they feel like that DeAndre Hopkins has lost a step or two. But where he is tremendous is his ability to make the contested catches. As he's lost speed and that quickness, his ability to still make those adjusting contested catches is still at a very high point. So what you have with DeAndre Hopkins is a very reliable receiver, one that high targets mean high receptions. He's going to find ways to use his body, position himself, run routes, enable himself to get open, present himself as a good target. So to the teams that are looking at him right now, everybody's trying to kind of guess where he might end up. Buffalo talks about it. Kansas City talks about it. There's all kinds. You could get odds on all kinds of teams. I've seen the Cowboys mentioned as part of one of those teams. But, man, the guy still plays at a very, very high level, though. But people are saying, though, that watch the tape on him, the speed is really starting to lack from him.
Nick, would you think he'd be a fit here in Dallas?
Right now?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Not for everything involved. Good player. Sure, this team needs good players, especially on offense. They need playmakers. We saw that's how their season ended. But I don't think so when it comes to what the money – if people think that he can still play, he definitely thinks he can still play. And when you think you can still play, you get the money. And Odell Beckham's contract showed him and the rest of the league of what that type of guy can still get. And if that's the
what
case.
What is that?
Wasn't it $15 million a year or something like that?
Yeah, for 1 year.
15?
Yeah, so if that's kind of the standard, and I think that's fair. That for Hopkins, if I'm looking at Beckham, I'm not coming off the same injury that he is. So I'm thinking, that would probably be, let's start there. And so I just don't think from that standpoint, and then also where it fits. This is probably, I think they have a top 5 receiver in the league. The Cowboys do. That's what the stats show. That's what All-Pro, second-team All-Pro. So CeeDee, second receiver, if it's Cooks, it's pretty accomplished for a second receiver. If Gallup is your third, that's pretty accomplished. I knew I should have looked this stat up this summer, but I still want to. I don't know how many teams in the league have 3 1,000-yard receivers on their team. So that being said, this is a good team. This is a good receiving core right now. That's why I'm not worried about it. A lot of people are worried about 4 or 5 or 6. That'll work itself out. So all that being said, sorry to be long-winded, I don't think Hopkins fits from where the Cowboys are right this minute.
If I could circle back, I did have somebody in the league tell me this, and I think it kind of paints the picture of really what Hopkins is. I remembered that I had this, and I talked about this on 105.3 The Fan. So if you're one of those folks that listen to this show and listen, we really do appreciate you for that. But this gentleman said, depends on what he's asking for. Who's willing to pay it? Odell Beckham, we were talked about here, set the marker for wide receivers and didn't play last year. Hopkins is probably wants to be paid regardless, and this guy said, I don't foresee much wiggle room from whatever he perceives his value to be. So that's what you're dealing with right now. If Hopkins has and there were rumors that we talked about on the radio side of things that I do, of when Hopkins was here working out in the backyard and doing things like that, that maybe if he got the opportunity, if the Cowboys in fact had made the trade, that he would be willing to do something with his contract, much like with what Cooks and others have done since they've come to the Cowboys. So me personally, I would have made the trade before you did the Brandon Cooks. I see what they did. They wanted Brandon Cooks. They wanted Brandon Cooks at the trade deadline last year. They feel like that Brandon Cooks is a better player. I think for your quarterback, adding Cooks is outstanding. I think adding Hopkins would have been outstanding too. So I think they kind of win either way. Again, it comes down to what their money situation is. They got a better deal on Cooks than maybe what they were going to get from Hopkins.
Yeah, and Hopkins obviously, I'm not trying to be naive to the situation. I mean, he's a more accomplished receiver than any of those three that the Cowboys have right now. But, you have to structure your team in a way where I just don't think this is the issue. They're at OTAs this week, minicamp next week. I see Cooks. I see CeeDee Lamb. I see Michael Gallup with Dak. And I think that's really important. And so you're right about Hopkins versus Cooks, but the fact is right now Cooks is out here working and they're establishing something. So, there's just probably a better fit with more money for Hopkins than I think right here. I would think for him.
Yeah, there are probably teams that are willing to pay him like a number one receiver, I would guess.
Yeah.
I would guess there are a few. I mean, my suspicion is the reason why he's no longer in Arizona is because they weren't willing to pay $30 million, and that's the reported amount that he was going to be due this year.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, there may be a team out there that's willing to pay 17 or 18, right? And so it still would be more than you would think the Cowboys would be willing to pay, and certainly more than they're probably willing to pay when they know they got CD coming up here that they have to do a new deal on.
I think we're to the point now, too, where we're going to start to see money come back from June 1 reductions or teams that have moved on from. And, in the Cowboys case, we were talking about it last week on our show here about that money tends to, if you ask the guys here in the building, hey, $17 million cap space, they look at you and they say, no, that money is already earmarked for other projects that we have to do. And they've got guys they have to sign. They've got some guys coming up that they could surely use that money for.
I think if you're a Cowboy fan and it's not going to happen here, then you cheer for the Bills, even though the Cowboys got to play the Bills or the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because
Cleveland's a team you'd have to
fine.
worry about too.
Yeah, go.
But in the NFC, the team that makes the most sense if they've got the money, I don't know what their money looks like, is the Giants.
Oh, gosh.
I know.
I would not want to see that.
But the Giants, and the thing about Hopkins, and Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. Okay, he's not great. He's just a good quarterback. But
they got a lot out of him that I didn't think they were going to get.
But
that was coaching right there.
But if you play fantasy football and you've had Hopkins on your team, you know this. It doesn't matter who his quarterback is.
Yeah.
He produces.
He's high volume. That's the key.
High volume.
He's high volume.
He is high volume.
So it doesn't really matter who he's playing with and all that.
And he's a bad ball catcher.
Yeah.
So for a quarterback that isn't the most accurate, he makes them look really, really good because he'll catch the ball. You put it in his radius, and he's got a long radius. You put it in his radius, he's going to catch it.
I fear God.
As we speak today.
You remember that clip? Sorry, you remember that clip of him and D'Angelo Hall getting into a fight?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
And Hall wanted to fight him, and he just kept saying, I fear God. I fear God. That, I don't fear anybody else but you. And then, 5 minutes later, he, gives him a double move. And
And wasn't that the end of D'Angelo's
pretty
career as we
much.
know it?
Yeah.
Became a broadcaster after that.
Yeah.
As we speak today, and this is from overthecap.com. This is who I'll use.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're good.
$3.8 million with the Giants on their team.
They don't have a lot of money
on their cap space right now.
Yeah.
So that's where they're at. The Giants are at 3.8.
But a team like the Giants, if I'm them, I would, if you're really wanting to do it, you'd probably get rid of a couple guys in order to be able to pick up a guy like him, because he would be that person on their offense outside of the running back that could draw a lot of attention, which I don't think they necessarily have right now.
They don't have if I'm reading this right, I think I am. Wan'Dale Robinson, who I believe is in his second year, is their highest priced receiver on that team. So to everybody's point here, the Giants could absolutely use some skill. And you mentioned the bad ball catcher. I mean, that's the one thing that I was thinking about if you're adding for Dak. And again, it's people say, oh, you're saying Dak's a bad ball thrower. No, I'm just saying, though, if things are off target, whether it's Dak or Cooper Rush or whoever's throwing him the ball, he has this ability to go get it. Mm-hmm. And his catch radius is quite large for the position.
Yep. All right, we're going to take our first break. We're going to come back. We're going to dive a little deeper into the wide receiver position. Nick already told us that he thinks CeeDee Lamb's a top 5 receiver. I'm going to ask that question to Brian as well. Where does he rate relative to other NFL wide receivers? And then we'll talk a little bit more about the depth at that position. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Hey, honey, can we talk?
Of course. What's up?
Well, I just thought you should know I've been curious about the new Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream.
Have you felt this way a long time?
No, I just think I'd really like the taste of Dr. Pepper, swirled with layers of flavor.
If you feel that way, I think you should try it, babe.
It's amazing. I mean, you're amazing too.
New Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream. The new flavor you deserve.
Want to use the Cowboys locker room's favorite products? Check out the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Hey, Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
Back to the break.
Head to Miller Lighthouse at AT&T Stadium for the Dallas Cowboys Tacos and Tunes Festival presented by Miller Lite, rescheduled to Saturday, June 3rd from 3 to 8 p.m. Enjoy a variety of tacos and food truck options while you sip on cold drinks and listen to live music. Admission and parking for the Dallas Cowboys Tacos and Tunes Festival is free. Visit attstadium.com/tacos and tunes for more. See you there.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. This segment presented to you by blockchain.com. All right, we're talking about the 2023 offseason, heading into the 2023 season, and we're trying to figure out if the Cowboys are better, worse, the same, weaknesses, strengths of each position. We're going to talk about wide receiver now. CeeDee Lamb, Nick, you mentioned him in the last segment, saying he was a 5. In your opinion, a top 5 wide receiver. I think you saw some stats there during the break.
I kind of loosely said it and thinking, that sounds about right. Well, when you're a second-team All-Pro, I would think that's about where you are, you know. But we looked up the stats. I was like, let me just see about this. And his receptions, he's 6th among receivers. In yards, he's 4th. Mm-hmm. And in touchdowns, he's 5th. So that looks like a top 5 receiver to me.
Top 5 receiver. Brian, where do you think he ranks, like in the pantheon of NFL receivers right now? Where is he?
Where you look at him overall, his ability to get open, I think, is at a very, very high level. His ability to make the catch is somewhere probably in the top 5, 6, 7 area. I think that's the one. Yards after the catch is another one that you kind of look at and you see that he'll make the plays down the field, not much after the catch. When you talk, we saw that he won the New England game with a catch that was run after catch, but most of his stuff has been down the field, making the play, securing the ball, taking the hit, and getting down. But his ability to get open, stuff like he's in that range of either 5 to 8 when it comes to starting to compare him with the metrics that teams use to evaluate receivers.
The top, you say 8 guys. Really, when you look at the 6, 7, 8 guys, you're talking about number 2 receivers on their own team, Waddle and Devontae Smith, which those are both really good receivers. But I think it's really 6 guys. Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb. Wherever you want. That's your top 6 in receiving yards. That's your top 6, really, for the most part, in catches. So it's kind of what type of player you like. Watching that Texas OU game, the one that CeeDee Lamb just went crazy for 3 touchdowns, I really thought, and there was a Kansas State game too, I thought that CeeDee would have a little more run after catch.
Yeah.
But that hasn't really been his game. But I mean, he took that next leap, and we didn't know if he was going to take it. That was the big question going in, and he did. And so I think with that, they're better.
Yeah. I kind of when you start to talk about is like a guy like Chris Olave in that group of 8. I know Chris Olave is like a young guy in a lot of people's minds and stuff like that.
He's not from the stats, but let me throw, because I'm finding him at 18th, and then I saw somewhere here at 17 a guy that only played 12 games. He's got to be mentioned in this group too, Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase is definitely in this group. He missed he missed some games. He only played 12
that's
games.
to me
up there,
That's to me why I kind of look at 8. Yeah, I kind of there's some guys. I mean, I'm a big T. Higgins fan from Cincinnati. And then, and you could even, I hate to throw this in there, but you could even, the guy that doesn't get mentioned enough, and because he plays in Seattle, is Tyler Lockett. The guy that makes a lot of big plays and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like, I've got this group of guys in my mind. Yeah. But if you look at all the metrics that people, CeeDee is in that group with those, say, 8 guys.
Nick, you were talking in the break. I thought it was interesting. You were making a point of when he, in your mind, solidified himself as a number 1. Take us to that moment.
Whenever you allow us to do the Deep Blue documentary on CeeDee, which will probably be after he's gone.
After he's retired. We'll wait.
But we'll see. But I thought the moment, and every player kind of has that moment like that, but for me, his moment was against the Giants last year, week 3. Up in the Meadowlands. I think it was week 3. Cooper Rush was playing, and at that point, he hadn't really shown, hey, I got to be the number 1. I'm the number 1 receiver, because first game, Tampa, nobody stepped up. Second game, it was really Noah Brown against Cincinnati that did it.
Yeah.
So in this third game, Cooper Rush, he throws that deep ball to CeeDee Lamb, streaking down the field. Here's your moment, and he drops it. And it's like everyone's looking around like, see, he can't do it. Yeah. And from that moment, something clicked with him. He took over the game, like Brian said. He made a couple of plays where you could tell he was just pissed off. He was just running over people. That's not even his game. Makes a great touchdown catch. From that moment, then he goes and has 107 catches for the season. I thought it was that moment on Monday Night Football that he said, you know what, I'm the dude. And I'm going to show everyone right here. And I thought, that was kind of his coming out party for that season.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. He took over that quarter there, and then all of a sudden the Giants had no answer for him there, and that really was the difference in that football game. His ability to make those plays, but he's in that group. We talk about the Adams, Cooper Kupps. I mean, he's in that
Cooper Kupps.
The injury last year, we forgot about.
That's what. Yeah, there's some guys like Kupp, Chase, others. I mean, it's a very, very, and that's the one thing that the NFL draft say the last. Maybe not. We'll see this year what the NFL draft with the receivers, but there have been some elite wide receivers put into the league the last, say, 3 years pre this draft. I mean, we'll see what happens with Addison and those guys. But, man, there's still a very, very high level there when Adams and Kupp and now you
A.J. Brown we didn't mention. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think
he said
Brown.
On that list?
He's in that
Brown's on that list,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
So there are that. The group he's in, it doesn't take long to call the roll. It really, really doesn't. No.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the wide receiver position from a little bit of a deeper standpoint. What do you think they were most missing last year that Brandon Cooks can provide for them this year at the wide receiver position?
I mean, you're gonna say it. I mean,
you can say
Amari Cooper. That's what they missed. They missed the guy that could make plays that they were.
That's what I'm saying. What did he provide that you think maybe Brandon Cooks can provide?
A veteran leadership route runner guy that can go out there and produce, hopefully at home and on the road. And if he can do that, then,
were they getting that move?
You're right. No, I just think just another guy that you have to kind of account for. And I remember when they played the Patriots, Belichick made it clear that was the guy they had to stop there with and of course they paid for it because CeeDee scored the touchdown. But just veteran leadership at receiver.
What's crazy is that now that and hi guys, I just kind of appear here. Now that some time has passed by, it's crazy to go back and think what we thought of Amari Cooper at the time when he was currently with the team and just the questions that were around him. I mean, regardless of what he was doing for the team, there were those questions where he wasn't consistent. We went out on the road and he wasn't performing, and was his willingness or was he all in with football and wanting to give it all his all? And then all of a sudden he's off the team, and we saw last year how much it was missed having that type of presence. That to me at the time, I valued Amari Cooper, but I didn't really see how valuable he truly was to the Cowboys and what he was bringing on the offense as a whole and what he was being able to create for other guys as well. And I know you guys were talking about CeeDee Lamb earlier, and he did take that step up. We'll see if I do believe he can carry it this year and keep performing at that level, but can the other guys kind of step up as well and create just more opportunities on the field?
No, that's an excellent point, because what happened is you got CeeDee Lamb going into that top 8 level that we were just talking about, and the problem was that when you look at Michael Gallup, he was Noah Brown. That's really what he was. Instead of Michael Gallup also elevating his game, if you statistically look at him, targets and receptions are almost the same. Yards almost the same. You didn't need Gallup going backwards. And that's what you hope that when you add new blood to the room, and you hope that Gallup goes up, but you had one receiver that went to that level, and then one that we thought might be at that level sunk to a much lower level. And now it made him have to think, wait a minute, we talked about Cooks at the trade deadline last year. Can we take a chance on Gallup and then also Tolbert not elevating their game? We can't go through that again. And now with no Noah Brown, I mean, give Noah Brown credit. Noah Brown played his role. Nick's right. He won the Cincinnati game for you the way he played. But that's Noah Brown. You're comparing, if you statistically look at the numbers, Michael Gallup and Noah Brown are the same guy. You can't have that if you're going to be a team that has bigger aspirations on offense.
And with the money paid to Michael Gallup,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. I was going to ask you guys, I know it was a while, but Michael Gallup, he talked to the media not too long ago, and, he was saying all the right things, basically saying he's feeling a lot better compared to last year, especially, where he was in pain basically the whole season and dealing with that and the mental aspect of it. And he says he's good and working there, but there was one specific quote that made me feel kind of hesitant at the end, and this is one of the articles that was put out on DallasCowboys.com. One of his last quotes was, "I'm very confident I'll feel like that guy again." And that kind of made me raise an eyebrow, like doing the future tense, like I'll feel rather than I'm feeling like that, and we're getting close to training camp. So that made me very concerned as to where is he really going to be at level-wise, and I mean, according to his health and mentally, as far as like what his body is allowing him to do back on the field. I don't know what y'all's concerns are with him.
I kind of feel like, this is an important year for him, because contractually, if he has another poor year, we're going to be talking about this next year about, okay, how do you replace this guy and this guy? And he very well could be in that conversation when you start to talk about what the allocation for money is to a wide receiver position that's not getting the production that they're trying to get from him. So, maybe his confidence level, it doesn't want to oversell it. Maybe he doesn't want you to, maybe he doesn't want, oh, I'm great, and then he's not great. Maybe his expectations are, let me just kind of keep it tempered here, and then as we elevate this thing, then it will be like I told you, it was going to take a little time here. I think he's kind of keeping us down here, and then and we'll see what the actual playing turns into.
And I think players also know that how they feel now and how they feel in the season are a little different. So I think he's probably weighing it like that. Like when that season comes, when the grind is here, training camp and the season, I'll feel like I'm supposed to feel, because everybody that's feeling good now, that they take it with a grain of salt. So maybe that's kind of what he meant. If he wasn't at 100%, if that's kind of what you're asking, if he wasn't at 100%, I think right here in these voluntary OTAs, I don't think he'd be going as hard as he has been, and I think they would kind of hold him back. So I think it was more about when the season, when the lights come on, I feel like I'll be there. I think.
I kind of took the same thing. I didn't really take it as, I didn't read it as literally as you did. I thought it was more of him just pointing to the season. Like, by the time I get to the season, I'll be there.
When it matters.
Not so much a matter of saying I'm not there now as much as just saying I know that this year my expectation is this season you're going to see a different player.
Which is what the fans want to hear, because if you say I'm killing it right now.
See, that's
cool.
the thing.
I've heard that with Tyron Smith. I've heard that with Ian Van Der Esch.
These are all words. These are all words, and these are all hopes until we see them actually play out on the field.
Yeah.
I just think that what he was pointing to is, I think this year I'm going to be back to where I was, and
I
hopefully that is the
like,
case. Yeah.
Well, good. I feel good about y'all's interpretation of that. But I actually liked everything that he said when he spoke, because it felt very real and open, and just someone that was being pretty transparent as to where he's at and where he was. We sit here and watch him play and criticize all we want, but we don't truly ever really know what the player is going through. So it just put things into perspective. But again, it makes you wonder, okay, obviously they must feel some type of confidence with him by giving him that contract. Yeah. But at the same time, is he truly going to be ready?
Yeah, that's the difficulty of our job. We sit here and evaluate how they play, but you're right. You don't know what they're going through in meetings. You don't know what they're going through off the field. You don't know all that. That is the unfortunate part of our job. We were all, we've seen Britt Brown and players come off that field after injuries and then play at a high level. We've seen that before. So you automatically in your mind, you're going, he'll be back. He'll be ready to go. And then it doesn't happen, and then we're critical about it. You're kind of like, okay, did we miss something here? But yeah, I think we're at a huge disadvantage when it comes to, is there something else other than football that's bothering these players? That we don't know, and that could affect the way they play and the way we evaluate them, fair or unfair.
Another guy that was disappointed in his season last year by his own admission is Jalen Tolbert. How confident are you guys that the Cowboys got the pick right and he just needs more time to develop?
I know I did, and I know I'm the guy on this panel that looks at this stuff, especially with the draft and the draft show and all the things we do. I thought it was an excellent pick at the time. When I saw this kid play at South Alabama, I saw a guy with a chip on his shoulder. I saw a guy that played at a very high level when it came to how he competed for the ball, how he went and got it, how he finished routes, how he was able to run after catch, the catch radius, all those things checked the boxes. The Cowboys thought about him in the second round. They saw basically the same thing. I think personally it was a huge disappointment because we've seen receivers come into the league, especially young receivers in this day and age, and be ready to play from the jump. He was not ready to play. The fact that he was missing OTAs, mini camp practices, he was over there with Washington. They were over there with Britt Brown, rehabbing feet and ankles and whatever else they were dealing with. That point in time when he didn't get that initial field work, I think it affected him. The minute they started throwing him into the deep end of the pool, he wasn't able to swim. And I think now, through everything that he's seen and the expectations that have been put on him, he now realizes what's ahead of him. And this is a really important year for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's done it before. I've said this many times on here. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I'm repeating myself, but he had 5 catches his freshman year at South Alabama. He had some kind of struggle there. On that level, that competition, the learning curve wasn't there for him. The next year, he had 55. The next year, he had 80. So he figured it out there on, okay, what am I doing and how do I get comfortable enough to start making plays? Big jump, obviously, from South Alabama to the Cowboys, but it's happened before where if it matters to you, you'll do the necessary things to get there. And he says the right things. He said it all offseason. Now it's time to perform. So we'll see. I think the jury's still out. 3rd-round pick. You know, he should have played more, figure out where to line up, all that kind of stuff. But I think you know, we've seen Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown do it. They go to the Dak yard and they just get comfortable with Dak and they get better players. If he can kind of get to the Cedric Wilson level, I think that would be fine.
Well, that's the thing that I think you begin to appreciate and root for someone that is admitting things, is recognizing things, is saying what everyone thinks, you know? So I appreciate that from him, and I am rooting for him, and I do think he's going to be a lot better, as opposed to, and it's hard not to give your support when you meet someone and you hear those words and you connect with the player, as opposed to someone like that's telling you to watch the tape.
Yeah.
Like Jalen Smith. But, you know, he's not that type of player. And you're willing to give him another year. Let's see what you can do because you see him putting in the work. He's willing to do it, and he's putting all that effort. And he's maturing. That's another thing, the maturity of it, where as opposed to last year, he may not have felt very comfortable, confident in that kind of room with these guys that he sees as stars. And now he's... how do you say that?
Acclimating?
Acclimated. I was going to say it in Spanish, aclimatado. But yes, I truly believe that he'll be better this year.
Well, the organization thought enough of him. They didn't pick a wide receiver in a draft until the 7th round. Yeah, and the receiver they picked was really a special teams guy too, guy that's that does a lot of work on those special teams. So they believe enough in him that they were not willing to put a 2nd, 3rd, 4th round pick on a wide receiver in a draft that was pretty deep in the middle of the draft. They said, nah, we've got Tolbert. He's our guy. Let's see how this plays out.
Yep. All right, we'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll jump into a conversation on the tight ends. We'll ask the question, are any of these guys able to step into the role that maybe you lost with Dalton Schultz? We'll do that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Want to use the Cowboys locker room's favorite products? Check out the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
SeatGeek has your back no matter what kind of fan you are. So whether you're a diehard fan or a don't really care fan, a we got 'em next time fan or we'll never win again fan, a here for the tailgate fan or a first one through the gates fan, SeatGeek not only makes buying and selling tickets easier than ever before, they made just about everything else easier too. So whether you're a here every week fan or haven't been here in years fan, SeatGeek has you covered. Download the SeatGeek app today. SeatGeek, your ticket to great seats.
Hey, honey, can we talk?
Of course. What's up?
Well, I just thought you should know I've been curious about the new Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream.
Have you felt this way a long time?
No, I just think I'd really like the taste of Dr. Pepper, swirled with layers of flavor.
If you feel that way, I think you should try it, babe.
It's amazing. I mean, you're amazing too.
New Dr. Pepper Strawberries and Cream, the new flavor you deserve.
Back to the break.
Welcome to summer with an all-time fan favorite collection. The new era training camp hats have just arrived in stores and online. Visit your nearest pro shop or log on to shop.dallascowboys.com, a Fanatics experience, to grab yours.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. This segment presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk about the tight end position. I want to start with this question. If you were to rank the three tight ends that are the projected top three tight ends on this team, how would you rank them between Schoonmaker, Ferguson, Hendershot? How would you rank them?
How are we going to do it? Is it going to be, are you asking the complete tight end? Who is the complete
I'm
tight
asking
end?
from the standpoint of how much you want
blocking,
them on the field. You tell me, you can decide that, but how much you want them on the field, how would you rank them?
That is a tough question because it's not. Sometimes it's 3rd and 2, and sometimes it's 3rd and 12, and that's a different guy.
Yep.
And that
is it? I mean, that's a question.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is on 3rd and 12. I'll take Hendershot. I like Hendershot stretching the field for me.
Yeah.
And kind of spread out a little bit on 3rd and 2. I think I'll take Schoonmaker.
Yeah.
I don't know that yet, but I think so.
The way I would rank them as far as completeness, and this is just because I've seen Schoonmaker at Michigan catch the football, and I think that's a very underrated trait to his game. Schoonmaker, Hendershot, Ferguson is how I would rank it. If you told me I could have, I can only play one tight end, and if I play that tight end, he can block and he can catch. So I'm going with the guy that I know that can do both. Okay. And Schoonmaker hasn't done it in the NFL. I get it. Schoonmaker did play at a very high level. Michigan football, very high level. Played in playoff games, national championship type of consequences for games. He's been a productive receiver. But I feel like if you would not take him off the field because he's not going to be a liability as a blocker.
Damn.
What
I'm thinking about that scenario because
that's the only advantage I have over you guys right now.
Yeah. Well, I feel like coming out of the draft, I mean, a lot of the criticism for Schoonmaker or analysis type of stuff was about him being a catch maker, like a guy that can go and catch the ball. I mean, one of his main traits were the blocking, but I mean, I trust your opinion because you watch all those tapes. But to me, I'm sticking with Ferguson as my main guy first, and then I would probably try Schoonmaker, and then Hendershot third, and then McKean last. Yeah. Wait, how many tight ends would you keep?
I think you keep 3 because
just 3, right?
The problem they're going to run into is, do they keep the fullback?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because if you watch the praise that we throw on the San Francisco 49ers is because of what Kyle Juszczyk does. And Kyle Juszczyk is a guy that plays fullback, he plays wing, he plays tight end, he's this interchangeable piece that just wrecks your scheme on defense because they'll put him at tight end or wing, and now you have to account for him, and then you have to account for Deebo Samuel now being in the backfield. The way that they play with a fullback, and let's see if that's what Mike has played with fullbacks before. So if they carry the fullback, that means to me it's only 3 tight ends. That's the only way you carry. I mean, if you didn't have a fullback, maybe you carry a 4th tight end.
Well, and rewind it back a whole year, and we're talking tight ends. I mean, Hendershot's not even mentioned. We're not even talking about that, and not till we got to training camp do we see that. And I know, and I've talked to tight end coach Linda Wells, and he said, watch out for Fant, Princeton Fant, Prince Fant from Tennessee, undrafted free agent. He's a dynamic kind of playmaker type guy. So, you never know how that all shakes out. But this is what I'd like to see at training camp. I want to see.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. As you mentioned him to watch, who does he replace? They carry 3 tight ends.
Yeah. The guy that got hurt in the 3rd practice of training camp. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
these things kind of work themselves out sometimes.
If you had to take away, they're not going to lose Schoonmaker. If you had to take away Ferguson or Hendershot and say that Fant was that guy, and you can only carry 3.
The guy that got hurt.
Wouldn't it matter? Wouldn't it matter? This goes to what you were just talking about, though. Wouldn't it matter from a standpoint of what does Fant do well? Like, is he more of a blocker? Is he more of a pass catcher? And that affects who that third guy might be.
I'm just playing the game of tight end coach telling me to watch a guy.
Yeah.
And if this guy lives up to tight end billing, you're not going to get rid of Schoonmaker, and it's going to come down. Now, maybe it comes down to you don't carry the fullback and you carry 4 guys. We've seen them do that before. You're thinking they can't carry 5 safeties. They carry 5 safeties.
And they do.
Yeah. So to me, I was just trying to pin you on who between Ferguson and Hendershot do you feel if Fant does everything that Lindewell says he can do, which one of these tight ends do you move on from if you can only carry 3?
Yeah. I mean, what I was going to say is what I want to see at training camp is I want to see Jake Ferguson, and I'm sure Hendershot will be with them, riding around in a golf cart all the time. Because if you get a golf cart at training camp, I think this is still the rule is because you kicked ass in the offseason. You're one of the offseason award winners. That's kind of what they do. The strength coach gives you your own golf cart and all that. That's what I want to see. Because if Ferguson can be an offseason warrior with the strength coach and all that, that's going to take him to that next level, I think, as a better blocker, as a better complete tight end. Because the guy's hurdling people in the middle of the season, too. Like, he can make plays. He just needs a little bit more strength in his blocking. If Ferguson can kind of take that next step, he jumps into that mix too.
The thing about it is, if you just believe in metrics, 69% of Hendershot's he makes, like, he's right about 69% catching the football. The other guy's about 84, 85. Yeah. So that if you're saying, okay, because the numbers are basically the same. But if you believe in the metrics, like, well, who catches the better percentage of balls thrown in their direction? It would be Ferguson would be that guy.
Mm-hmm. Hendershot needs to work on those penalties. He had a lot of penalties for a guy that didn't take every snap. When you look at percent, and I haven't looked at this stat, but Joseph would probably be first in as far as penalties versus your snaps. And Sam Williams is up there. And Donovan Wilson had a lot of snaps, but and also Hendershot. Those guys right there got young players. Got to work on the discipline a little bit too.
So we'll do this before we end the show. You lost Schultz. You added Schoonmaker. Are they better, worse, or the same than they were in 2022?
Better.
I'll say the same.
What?
But just because Schultz had some stats and he caught the ball well and all that, and that's all he did really. I mean, he made some catches and all that, and then. But I think they're going to be. I think they could be better, but because of they're still young players, I would just say the same. But I'm not going to say they're worse.
Why do you say they're better, Brian?
I'd say they're better because they added a more complete player. I do believe he catches the football well enough. I think they'll find ways to get him the ball. I think he is one of those point of attack blockers. You watch the teams that run the football really well in the National Football League. It's guys that do well at the point of attack. Schoonmaker is going to be that guy for this football team. He's replacing Dalton Schultz, who can catch the football, knows how to get open, but all these guys know how to get open. They know can they finish the play, but can they block? Can they help the running game? Can they be complete players? They got better by adding Schoonmaker.
Right now, I feel like it's the same just because I don't know. I haven't seen Schoonmaker just yet. I don't know if it's gonna take him that first year to kind of get
he physically looks the part when you look at it.
He does, but you still have some of those rookies that come in here, and it still takes them a little bit to get going. And it's gonna all come down to how many snaps and opportunities does he get to be on the field, and take that away from the other two guys. So I just don't know yet. Right now, I feel like they can be better than last year, but at the moment, they're the same.
All right. We appreciate you guys joining us. We are back next week. We'll have our final show before our little break, before training camp. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, and Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!